So that's really interesting. So in Australia, we have, it's very diverse, the people. Lots of immigrants come to Australia, particularly in the world of technology. So your learnings from your time in Japan, how does that kind of help shape what you do today when you lead a diverse team?
I think, yes, it is a very culturally diverse country. I think what I learned from Japan and I guess roles after that is really patience.
Yeah.
Stay the course, right? That's something that even though I keep saying that I have had to improve on my patience, I am a very impatient person. So I think my time in Japan taught me patience, but it's something that I need to continually remind myself of, and that's something that I need to continue doing in my current role. Is I want things done yesterday because I just want to get on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
But patience and respect for my team and allowing them to get the job done in their time, but with support from me is really important. But I think patience is something that I have learnt back then, but continue to learn and practice in my current role.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about let's say aspects of communication? Was the business when you were in Japan, was that in Japanese or was it predominantly kind of in English? How did that work?
So it was a Japanese speaking business. So
yeah.
I did a little bit of Japanese language coaching before I left, and then once a week I had a Japanese language coach. My role in Japan was also to encourage the Japanese team to speak English.
Got it.
So it was, I always, for big meetings, they had a translator present, so for me and the other people in the room.
Yeah.
But again, it was a learning experience because most of the people that I dealt with in the business couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
So I had to try my hardest with my broken Japanese, get a message across. I wish that I kept up my Japanese because I was actually getting quite good, but I've let it go. After coming back to Australia, I had no opportunity to practice speaking.
Yeah.
But it was challenging, but also people around me supported me, and I managed. I got through. So, yeah.
Well, you talked about your comfort zone and being outside of it. I think going to a foreign country to work in the first place, let alone a foreign country where you're communicating in a different language primarily, or most of the people are, that's definitely, I think, way outside the comfort zone.
Yeah, it was.
When you returned to Australia, from what I could see, you kind of undertook 3 more senior roles with GSK, the last with a global focus. Again, I'm just interested, how did you kind of navigate those different transitions through those different roles?
So, I came back to Japan as IT director for Australia and New Zealand. And that was a completely different role to what I had in Japan, but it was a role that required me to start to transition to use offshore models, support models. So I keep going back to patience and resilience because I had to actually really call on those two again to get me through the role as IT director, where I had to outsource the entire infrastructure team to a hub in Poland.
Wow.
So that was challenging, but again, my thing is being I'm an open person wherever I can. I'm very transparent as a leader, and I paint the picture to try and take people on the journey. And I took them on the journey of why we needed to do it. I won't say it was smooth, but we got through it and transitioned infrastructure to Poland. And then that opened up opportunities for me to take on a broader regional role after that. But what I guess the patience and resilience is what's flowed through from my time in Japan to all my roles after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What's again, you had that incredibly successful career through that time, and what for you kind of stands out as maybe your biggest achievement in that time?
I think what I did in the last part of the roles at GSK, I was the regional application services director, where we were consolidating local teams across all of the countries in Asia Pac and Japan to move to a centralized model based out of KL. In that role, I had to not only engage with IT, but I had to engage with the business, so build relationships with the GMs of all the GSK entities. And it was, again, a very challenging role, because I had to sell to them this idea of taking people out of their country and supporting them from a central hub in KL. The things that I learned from that is just be open, honest, as transparent as you can, and take people on a journey. And that's what I did. And I think I'm most proud of that, because I had to navigate a number of different cultures, language barriers, resistance from some general managers who didn't want to change. But we got there in the end, and I think they then saw the benefits financially, because the savings we got out of consolidation went back to the countries, and they actually had better service as well. So I think that is probably the thing I'm probably proudest of.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And through those roles, this is the last question on GSK, I promise. Through those roles, was there a kind of mindful path that you were trying to follow to get to where you got to eventually? Or were you kind of just taking opportunities as they presented?
Well, I had an end goal. We knew that it was part of a broader GSK IT transformation strategy, but how I navigated it for Asia Pac and Japan, I had to navigate it as I went along and faced hurdles or barriers. I did have an idea of where I wanted to get to. I did have the KPI of getting to that point by a certain time.
Yeah.
But in between, it was working it out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Were there any of those roles that you kind of look back now and you regret taking?
No. I think every role, when I first started it, I would think, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? But in the end, I enjoyed every step in my career, because it actually taught me different things. So no, I don't regret any of the roles.
How about